All right, Moxie and Millie, let's have us an adult conversation. Leveling up your resume and portfolio here about how to do the rungs on the ladder to get it in the barn. Honestly, you're gonna summon them invertly just by not knowing that's what you're doing. Some action at a spooky distance, name bones. It'll just wreck your fucking cod piece for fun because that's teaching you. You lose a finger that one. So in a way, you can know by me talking about something like that. It's not that I'm summoning something in, okay? It's that there's somebody going to talk about me in the way that I'm very ADP, right? That's the bones mechanic. Let's figure out the n numbers of the dimensions, make the diamond necklace, start doing the physics, and then we'll push for constitution and charisma later. Um, but in here, I want to make sure that we're actually doing this, and you really understand that in the religious standpoint, Delos de Mortes, summoning the Day of the Dead over there, is an idea of some battlefield, some points where I have something, either elements or personnel or something. That's a function of the dominion mathematically, and then going about those charts on a whiteboard is very, got its way about it. The Metatron here is something like you don't look at the Seraphim like that, right? You're not looking at me later on. When you pick up these words later on and you go about, Aziel here, I usually use him as my God Killer gun. Some kid that's going to come in the office with his 35-degree angle on the diamond necklace, and instead of the 45-45 after action report or article 15 when I do a census down there, just like the cops coming in or something else, the words that they said usually gonna lock somebody up real good when you do your Jones Act out here. See, for them, the warp, right? Anything that could be in earshot, a Solomon's Fall or 32 Demons or whatever it is, that helps you with the key, Bobbly, and hopefully that's really good. But from the leadership, that's kind of the way it is with some asshole that's willing to genocide the shit out of everybody inside of there and how rules work. We got to maintain that. Without that, we don't have an effective combat unit in here. But usually that's the beauty of having more stars to generate what the command structure is in that way. And you get your Ares versions of it. And when you've done that, when you've bonesed out Ares, ball, skull, map, you've done your summoning the artist by making students do the full autonomy of the skeleton before you lay in muscle structure, skin, before they turn into Goku or whatever superhero you wanted to actually do for the chisel in here. And you could see how that's a summoning, and there might be a name to it. There's a work to it. You could see that Mike aspect to it, or Lou coming in the office, and in the way, that's some misconception sometimes between the decoherence of this situation when we summon in some people like Schrödinger who can show you wave functions that are pattern outliers between hydrogen and helium and everything else, or where they came from in the MOS. Great chart, and I'm sure maybe at the time it even worked to the field charge to get those coolons to do what they needed to do. But when you actually get down into sight, this is that Genesis. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, well, I got a lot of bookworks, and hopefully I'll show you, open them up into that here, where this is the tallywhacker's job, the grade board, so old 1959 board grader's manual of popular hardwood, softwoods, maple, pine, whatever it may be, have different values in a whole Jacobian metrics, but you don't know that. It's not until you get there that it's like, oh, well, all board factories are clearly the same. No, there's a genesis to it. I've started this story before me. There was plenty of people, I'm sure, before Adam and Eve, when somebody smoked them for getting down there and having the orchard get wrecked in some orchard paradox problem here. I'm sure we'll get to the market soon enough. When I walk away, it's still the 3rd-degree burn, but the Catan, that's what it was. There were probably a group of people, monkeys or otherwise, Salty Kong, or King Kong or whatever it is, that somebody had to form a test, because otherwise you are back to back Frank Castle in the prison just going toe to toe right after a fight, and eventually I'm going to need to make rules. Even if you're the one that beats me later here at Yellowstone as Wolfpack, you're going to have to make rules, and some people are doing some normal stuff. And so you get in there, that's another type of the function of the Dominion, the whole current, or excuse me, the imp current on this, that by that binary way with a split and bootstrap paradox make hydrogen. And an iron core, star, hydrogen, gas collapse, right? Makes fusion. That's weakly attracted gravity on the form of a star that is a star. Not necessarily the way it applies here. We can generalize it, but these batteries will eventually burn out. You're weakly losing that. And back to it is instantaneous, but there's a lag in certain things before she catches and the light bulb totally comes on. You got electrons kind of like shells and balls. So we're calling in Maxwell or Max Boltzmann statistics, certainly Gaussian, I equals VR, right? Rational numbers in somebody's hood. And how that's going to brainwave its way through, Bernoulli. And you can summon them. You can study their work. You can understand Bell's inequality. You can get field theory. Einstein out there playing a fiddle to a certain degree. Can anybody else play fiddle? Well, all right then. Now, does that always mean that the costs on that, comparatively to average fiddle players, is worth it for what actually between the harmonics here will probably be absolutely fine? I get that there's a security D, right, Aries? Or drill, salty and sharps. When you ROTC, there's no difference. See, this is the black hole accretion disk, essentially, man. And that's what comes with it, but also a lot of power and responsibility. You could tell these people to go march into that fucking bee's nest, right? That's the kind of power to them. Now, what do I lose on probability or statistics? Or Bose-Einstein can condensate, so that dropping out a solution to action at spooky distance that may perhaps change things. Those are notes I want you all to understand here today.